Now, yesterday, we played a game of worst-case scenario for the Carolina Panthers. What if the first 7 picks in the NFL draft went as bad as they could go before the Panthers drafted 8th? That was fun. It was a good exercise. We hammered it out. Today, best-case scenario. What if you could, within like the realm of possibilities, right? They all drafted guys that were projected to go undrafted. And matter of fact, not only that, they wanted to trade up and give all their future first-round picks to the Panthers. Like, within the realm of legitimate plausibility, what is the best-case scenario?
They traded to the first pick and got a future first themselves. How did it happen?
And also Justin Jefferson. I don't know how it happened.
It just all happened to be there.
No, within the realm of, like, plausibility, what is the best-case scenario for the Panthers sitting at 8? And then we'll talk about the challenges that come with that. Because it's first class problems, but there's some challenges. In our best case scenario, went through it. Dennis and I did this. Titans with the first pick took Cam Ward. Panthers don't need a quarterback. Draft them all. Browns with the second pick took Shedeur Sanders. Panthers don't need a quarterback. Keep pushing down good position players. Giants, Travis Hunter. New England, Abdul Carter. Just because I don't see a world where those two fall out of the top 4, so you kind of got to bite the bullet on that one. I have Jacksonville taking Armin Membu, offensive tackle. Again, a position, or by the way, like whoever's their number 1 tackle. Because the Panthers don't need one this year. Vegas goes Ashton Genty, which I actually think would be a little outside the realm of possibility, except for the fact that everybody is mock drafting him there. So running back at number 6 it is. Bijan Robinson went 8th, and there you go. But hey, if everybody says it's possible, I'll live in that world. Genty to Vegas. Jets then with the 7th pick, Will Campbell, offensive tackle. They need offensive line help. And by the way, you could flip Membu and Campbell. Just say picks 5 and 7 are offensive tackles. That leaves a unbelievable amount of options for the Panthers at number 8. None of those picks to me scream absolutely impossible, yet there's a ton of options that I didn't expect to be there available for the Panthers. In this scenario in real life, if best case scenario happens, right, and like I said, you have to prepare for every situation. If this happens, I would expect your phone to be ringing off the hook for trade-ups. Because, trading up to 5 is really, really expensive, and guys might not want to, or other teams might not want to do it for like a Mason Graham. Trading up to 8 might be possible, and if the Panthers see another option that can be available later, you might be able to get a haul. So this is one where I'm excited, right? Dennis, you've talked about, and I think we've all said it at some point, where like if this guy is available at 8, you sprint up and give the card.
Yeah, I'm stumbling up the stair. I'm running up to the podium. We're taking this guy. Just don't even wait for the commissioner.
Sometimes, like I actually think maybe you fill out the card and then you sit. And here's why. For, like Mason Graham is great. Don't get me wrong. Big fan. Watched him on film today.
Would love that guy.
Looks like a stud. Jalen Walker, the edge/linebacker from Georgia. Everybody talks about him like he's like half Tony Robbins, the motivational speaker, half Luke Kuechly. Like that's how he's being discussed. You could have your number 1 corner, whoever that is in the draft. If it's the Michigan guy, if it's the Texas guy, you got your number 1 corner. You have your number 1 pass catcher, tight end, wide receiver, I don't care. You have all these options. Like, instead of running up there, as good as all those options are, if somebody wants to be stupid and overpay, give them time to talk themselves into it. You got 15 minutes. You can wait until 14:59, and exaggerating. You can wait till 14:30 and not, because you're not like deliberating, right? You know who your guy is. You're just waiting for somebody to knock your socks off with a Godfather offer. And with great options like this, if whoever's picking 12th, who's actually Dallas, if Dallas wants to trade up and overpay for somebody, scoot on back. I just gave you 4 options. You'll have one of them available for you guaranteed at 12. So in best case scenario, get greedy. See if best case scenario can become unbelievably best case scenario. But if you are going to make the pick, those are the 4 options that I would go with. Mason Graham, defensive tackle, Michigan, who up until he weighed in at the combine at 296 instead of 304. He was almost a lock to go top 5. So if he's there at 8, be excited. Jalen Walker, who is as fast a riser right now as I can find. Everybody's singing glowing remarks, even Dave Canales, who said, everybody we talked to at Georgia is telling us how awesome Jalen Walker is. You could have your number 1 corner, whoever that is, or your number 1 pass catcher, whoever that is. 4 great options for the Panthers. Again, it's best case scenario. There is joy and fear in having no wrong answers. The joy is, look at all these great options. The fear is we have to make a tough choice because there's 4 great options. Right? We've talked about how being at the end of the tier is the easiest place in the world. Right? If you have the second pick in a Greg Oden, Kevin Durant draft, that's the lucky spot, right? That was the Supersonics. Trailblazers had to make a choice. They could be wrong. Seahawks couldn't, the Supersonics couldn't. They just sat there and said, whichever one's there, we're going to take. And even if the guy is a bust, nobody is going to criticize us for it because everybody would have taken that player. So with these 4 available, you can be wrong. You can be wrong. I like Graham a lot. I said it. I like Walker a lot. I don't think you can go in most drafts. I don't think you can go wrong if you get the best corner in the draft. It's a premium position and you play 2 or 3 of them most downs. I just don't see how you can go wrong getting the best corner in a draft if you get it right on who the best corner is.
Sure.
I don't think Bryce Young would ever complain about getting a number 1 pass catcher.
No.
I don't think Dave Canales, your offensive-minded head coach, would ever look at your GM and go, really don't like what we did in the draft this year, if you walk away with the best pass catcher in the draft. So in a world of no wrong answers, you can be wrong because the opposite is, right? Say you take Jalen Walker and it proves that the tweenerness doesn't work out. Meanwhile, Mason Graham becomes a Hall of Famer. Somebody else's defense rises to number 1 in the league because they get another lockdown corner in the middle of the first round, and your passing game doesn't get going because you're depending on Adam Thielen to be a number 1 and he gets hurt because he's 35 years old. Like there's scariness here as well. Dennis, I have a feeling you would go. This is me predicting. You would go Mason Graham?
I think I would go Mason Graham. I think it's probably where I would go.
I'm acknowledging I think I'm overthinking this. I think I might go Jalen Walker.
I mean, if they did that, I wouldn't hate it. Like, I really wouldn't. I'd be 100% okay with either. This honestly, flip a coin.
See.
But I like the idea of the defensive lineman that they have that they brought in via free agency, even last year and this year. You know Shai Tuttle's going to be gone after this year. A'Shawn Robinson's only got a year or 2 left on his contract. Bobby Brown's just a run defender. He can't get to the passer. Wharton is better fit for passing situations, but like Mason Graham and Derrick Brown together could just collapse pockets on people and stuff the run nonstop all game.
Here's what I hate about my answer. Right, this is me looking in the mirror and having a hard conversation. If you would have asked me right after the football season, Graham and Walker are there at number 8, I would go Mason Graham 100 times out of 100. Mm-hmm. And my philosophy is, I don't. If you put in the work, right? If you haven't watched someone on tape, then like if you haven't watched them play football, then obviously they're going to rise or fall in your rankings. But we've watched Georgia, we've watched Michigan, right? Mm-hmm. These teams aren't. This isn't a South Dakota State, diamond in the rough that we're exposing and learning about after the season ends. I don't like that my opinions change when we get to underwear Olympics time or when we get to smokescreen season where insiders are letting us know whatever the leaks want us to know. So I don't like that Walker is passing Mason Graham in my mind, but I also acknowledge there has to be exceptions to every rule, right? If everybody at Georgia is telling Dave Canales, and they're being honest with him, that Jalen Walker is a thermostat rather than a thermometer, right? He raises the temperature in the room by choice because he's that kind of a leader. I think that's worth something. And that's nothing we would have known week 7 of the college football season when we were just watching them as football players. But is it dumb to change up who you would draft with the 8th overall pick A massive, massive asset worth a ton to your team because some guys sang praises about the guy who was within their program. Like Mason Graham to me, and I actually, right, the 296 versus 305, right? If he was 305 pounds, I think he's a top 5 pick and nobody's arguing with it.
I'll put 10 pounds on you.
I don't think it matters if you have Derrick Brown. Because to overpower a guy who's 296, it's got to be at least like a guard and a center helping, right? And if you do that, that means that center is not helping on Derrick Brown. Love it, right? Oh, you can go bully the 296 guy, which leaves Derrick Brown on a one-on-one.
Yeah,
you're losing that battle. Meanwhile, if you double team Derrick Brown, which you have to do because he's a giant and he's really good, Mason Graham is a one-on-one, and I don't care if you're 296 and a one-on-one. So I think the Panthers uniquely don't care about his weight, and if they wanted to, get a deal with Cookout or Bojangles or something and put an extra 10 pounds on him, they could. So that doesn't matter to me. I'm just looking at two players that I really like and trying to decipher which one gets the nod. And also acknowledge that once you decide out of those two who you want, somebody in the room is going to go, we could get the number 1 corner in the draft. Are we really debating on an undersized defensive tackle or a tweener linebacker? And the answer is going to be yes. And at some point, Bryce Young's probably going to stop by and go, Ted McMillan's like 6'4.5", and I'm just saying, I know I'm small, but I can throw the ball high. He can go get it. Like we can make this work. There's no wrong answers. There's no wrong answers during the draft if this happens. Best case scenario. There might be some massively wrong answers 5 years from now looking back, which is the scare.